So this thing is recording. I'm looking all disheveled with my stubble and everything, my off work stubble. I'm growing in the winter stash right now. Yeah, you can't have that top lip being cold during the wintertime, man. And I mean, Texas does have a winter per se. So
You guys had a bad winter last year.
yeah, we had a bad little stint of winter. That whole week or whatever. After that, it was just like hot, cold again.
That's what it's like up here sometimes up in Mass.
Nah, y'all get snowfall and shit. I mean, for us here, if it get like freezing temperatures or whatever, just like nah, shut this bitch down. Fuck that couch. Y'all out there with snow plows and parkas and all kind of shit, just making your way to work.
Listen, I walk almost 2 miles to work, so it's like
Both
when
ways,
snowstorms, both ways.
uphill, downhill.
Listen, and I'm never late, so when I show up to work, they're like, "Oh, you got here. You want to run to Dunkin's for me?" Yeah, I'll literally run to Dunkin's.
Nah, man, you should have just been like, hey, hit me up on the way in. Let me know then.
Oh, yeah, no, I made sure to do that. I was just like, "Yeah, we got to do that." Like, I can't swing like Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right. So I got a long contrived introduction that I do. So I'm gonna hit that real quick and then we just roll into the festivities. Feel free to talk spoilers. I will make sure that it is known before we get into the thing proper that it's gonna be spoilers because I don't like to talk like passively about shit. Be like, oh yeah, and when that thing happened, man, I was like, what? And you'd be like, what you mean what thing? And I'm like, the thing with the stuff. And nah, I don't like talking like that.
No, the diehards watched it day one, so we good.
Work. And then this will be out Sunday, so it'll give them another day and a half to to go see it if they're gonna see it. So all right, we're recording. All right, I am ready. What up, everybody? This your boy B Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Rambles with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first time listener, I'd like to thank you so much for giving my show a try. And if anybody recommended you to me, I would like for you to go ahead and lean over and give that person a crisp high five. But if you want to be socially cautious and everything, there's Omicron Prime Perseus 2 out there floating around with this virus stuff. You might not want to slap hands with somebody. So pick up your social media app of choice and send that person a well-crafted DM to tell them thank you for recommending you to me. Speaking of social media, you can find the Random Rounds with Rob on various social media platforms to include Twitter at 3R Show, Instagram at The 3R Show. Hopefully soon it'll be 3R Show on Instagram as well because they got some punk motherfucker on there that on the handle and he ain't posted shit since September of 2017 or something like that. And I'm trying to get that account so much so that I spoke about it on RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk that I went through the whole rigmarole of getting a goddamn trademark for 3R Show just so I could be like, hey, Instagram, that's my shit. Run it. So yeah, I did all that just so I don't have to be at the 3R Show on Instagram. So until then, it's at the 3R Show on Instagram. You can find video interviews such as this one that you may be watching right now on YouTube. Just look for 3R Show. I had some video gaming stuff on Twitch and Facebook gaming if you searched for 3R Show, but I haven't been playing games in public for a while. I mean, I've been playing video games behind the scenes, but I haven't been streaming it. But anything that I may have forgotten to mention, you can go to randomrob.com. You can find many different ways to help support the show, and you can find the sponsor, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Matter of fact, I got my hat right here. Had to take it off my La Sombra mask right here.
Tranquilo.
Yeah, boy. I think this is the first Lucha mask I bought. I got this one, and I got a La Parker one, and I went to a convention and I got a Black Panther mask. It's not like a mask
Alright.
like this, but it's like beanie material. So I put that bitch on, my face all sweaty and shit. I try not to wear that often. But the sponsor, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, and we got a cameo after I just told you that I was recording, but you had to come in here and be on the camera anyway. Come on, show your face, say hi, bring the dog in here too. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Okay,
What's
now get out.
up?
No, I just want to say hi because I came back.
All right, you came back. You're alive. Now get out.
Come on, Clinky boy.
Cameos by Small Robinson children. God damn it, every time I try to talk about the sponsor, I get interrupted. Anyway, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. You can get 15% off your order if you use promo code RANDOM at hooksrub.com. You can get some of those delicious Hooks, Rubs, and Spices on all your foods, vegetables, your freaking mixed drinks. I seen them make a mixed drink on their Instagram, and you can put that on all kinds of things. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. Hooksrub.com, 15% off your order. Yada, yada, yada. Yakety schmackety, I said it, and we're done. Long ass intro. I need to try to trim that down a little bit, but it takes away. I don't know. I rattle it off my head. I can't
It's the
even remember.
pageantry of it all.
Yeah, I know, right? But joining me, you heard his voice. A gentleman I met via the internet, specifically Twitter, and we've had conversations via Twitter Spaces about a number of things, especially professional wrestling. And I don't think you're attached to a podcast per se, but you're a producer of a few and you're a fan of many. So joining me is Mr. Rito. How are you, sir?
What's going on, world? It's your boy Rito, aka the Sultan of Segways, aka the lost son of Sinbad. It's me, man. I'm glad to be a part of this
Whoa.
show.
Whoa. Hold on. We're gonna pull that back. The lost son of Sinbad?
All right, so here's a little inside baseball. So
Oh
in
yes.
my yearbook, I had a photo where I took a picture, and as a kid, you start getting your little stash going on, a
Oh
little goatee and
yeah.
whatnot.
Gotta bring us
And
something back. All right.
we're looking back, and we're going through the yearbook with one of my friends, and my friend goes, "Yo, you kind of look like Sinbad," and I was like, "Oh, that'd be crazy if he was my dad, right?" And it's just been a running joke amongst friends, and eventually I said it on Twitter, and people thought it was funny, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, Sinbad's my dad. He's not really my dad. My real dad. That's another story for another podcast." But
Yeah.
it's just a running joke with that.
Word. I mean, have you posted this picture? Because I need to see it. I need to confirm this.
I gotta find a photo. It's in my yearbook. I think it's at my mom's house. I gotta look for it, but
All right,
it's the
very
funniest thing in
well.
the world, man.
Because you can't come here and say these things and then not have photographic proof.
Oh yeah, no, that listen, that's what we call in the business a teaser. You can follow me at Rito's Modern Life on the social medias, see what I'm at, or listen to Self Control Podcasts. And like Rob said, I am a listener of many podcasts, which, you know, in the Houston cinematic podcast universe,
Yeah.
I found through Cult 45. And if Brandon, you are listening to this, I want you to review Heavyweights, Disney's Heavyweights. I've been bugging you on
Oh.
social media. It's been the longest running feud. And listen, man, I'm shooting right now.
Oh shit! I will make sure he will hear this personally. I will send it to his cellular device. I will isolate this audio and I will send it straight to him.
Listen,
But
he makes a cameo in that movie too. I got to show y'all later.
I already know what you're talking about. But for those who may be listening to this is going to be a spoilerific episode for Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm putting the horns on it. This is going to contain spoilers. I'm telling you right now. I don't know when those will come because we're going to talk about a lot of things pertaining to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and other things related. And Spider-Man will be the main topic of conversation. So I'm warning you right now. Spoilers. You hear the horns. The spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. With that being said, let's get into it. I just finished the first 5 episodes of Hawkeye. They're going to have their season finale next week. So the Christmas week. And I thought that was kind of clever how they did that. He was like, I got 6 days to get home or whatever. And the episodes kind of fall within the real life days of Christmas and whatnot. So this next week will be the week of Christmas for this last episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how they're gonna, land this birdie. I think hopefully it's a scenario like they did with Loki, where we get a second season out of it, because I feel like there's so much story left to tell for Kate Bishop.
Oh yeah, exactly. And for me is are you versed in the comic book lore and all that stuff, or is it just the cinematic universe for you?
I know a little bit. I usually wait until like the run is over, and I'll go to like my local comic book shop and get like the volumes or like the
Mhm.
big books, and then just kind of read them when I get a chance.
What they call compendiums and omnibuses and all that other stuff?
Yeah, I just got the Watchmen omnibus. I'm waiting for the Invincible one to come in.
Hmm. Yeah, I tried to. There was one in particular that I was looking for because I haven't really been a child of comic books or care to read a lot of them. I think the first one that I actively tried to read was the Wolverine series, and when I was in Iraq, we had a big share drive that people would just kind of import their materials that they would have in there, and they had a big slew of Marvel comic books, and they had the whole set at the time of all the Wolverine stuff. So I started with like the first or the second one and whatever, and I never got behind that. All I know is he had a son, and his son didn't like him, and he would fuck him up every chance he got.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that run was wild. I remember reading that, and then I just jumped into the Old Man Logan to prepare for the film.
Mhm. So, from what you've read to that film, Old Man, I would say Old Man Logan, but Logan, uh, how do you feel like it did movie wise compared to the comic book run?
I think they did a fantastic job as far as bringing it like the comic book to life. Granted, there was a couple things obviously with Bruce
Mhm.
Banner being involved in that story, and the whole red tape around that.
Yeah.
But overall, it was good. Like if you saw Logan without the thought of it being a Marvel series, and you just kind of said, you know what, let's just strip all the Marvel stuff and all the X-Men stuff. It's an enjoyable science fiction like
Mhm.
psychological thriller.
Mhm. And even like if there were no other X-Men movies or even any other Wolverine movies that they made and they just dropped Logan, I would have been fine with that.
Oh yeah, they could have worked backwards, and the thing with that too was we finally got to see like Logan like really like just go berserker mode. I mean, we saw that with Punisher in the Netflix series, not to jump around, but
Oh
it
yeah.
shows that Marvel has balls to bring the things up to screen. Now, my biggest concern is with the zombie line, if they're going to do a live action, how they're going to tiptoe around that with Disney being the umbrella.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's the true word or not, but they're saying the next Deadpool movie is going to be a R film. So
Yeah, and we'll see how this Doctor Strange film pans out, because I guess Sam Raimi wants it to be a horror film. So
yeah, and then yeah, speaking of that, I saw if you once again we already put out there that there's going to be spoilers for the Spider-Man movie. This was at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. They played the first trailer for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And from what I can see of it and what I've watched on Disney Plus so far, the What If series and whatnot, it looks like they might have a small tie into that as well.
what if is canon? It's officially
Yes.
canon.
What If is canon, and even if you go to Disney Plus right now, when they what they do with their Marvel movies, they have different sections to where you can watch it chronologically and everything, or by phase, like phase one, phase two, phase three. They have this current phase in chronological order with all the stuff that's they put out so far, and What If is part of that line of films. So it
And
is canon.
it's crazy too, because I feel like with this trailer, like they definitely did fan service for the original fans. Like what my biggest thing was, so as a Latino American, watching all these, people on screen, I'm like, man, where are we gonna get this? Where are we gonna get this? Oh, we got Miles. Okay, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then we finally got America Chavez, like in little increments. But I saw the jacket on screen. I was like, that's America Chavez.
Word. So I
So
mean, with I think the word on the street is that Marvel and Sony has come to another 3 film agreement. So I mean, have you heard the same thing? Are you excited about that?
I am super excited because, like I said, we are in spoiler territory. The way the film ended, so I posted this on Facebook and I took it down immediately just because I realized what I said. But these next series of films, whether Tom Holland wants to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form, are going to show us the real 616 Spider-Man. Like the suit at the end was accurate to the comics. He's using his phone to use the scanners. He's getting his GED, and he's living in a shitty apartment. Now we got to finally see
Yeah.
a broke Spider-Man. Like, as far as that dynamic, my biggest thing was we all know that in the grand scheme of things, as far as Andrew Garfield's character and Tobey Maguire's character, when it all boils down to it, they would not like Tom Holland for the fact that he's back behind a big corporate guy.
Yeah.
You know, Spider-Man was never about that. He was always broke. He was always, he was delivering pizzas, you know?
Yeah. And then, it kind of broke down that way in this film and whatnot. So, I mean, he already lost, a friend and a mentor in Tony Stark, from the earlier film. Then when he was outed as Spider-Man and became a freaking a criminal, they freaking disconnected all the stuff from Stark Tech. So it's just like he was on his own at that point anyway.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I noticed in the film was he was very resourceful just from turning the suit inside out after it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was destroyed or something crazy happened, but obviously it was just a giant stain from someone who hated him. Um, he just had to use a lot of his resources, and mine's like you beat Doctor Strange with math. Like it goes that's
Mm-hmm.
that's a Spider-Man thing to do, he's just a huge nerd.
Mm-hmm. And that shit was hilarious too. He's like, wait a minute, this is geometry. Oh, it was fucking great. And then, one of the big things that, we as wrestling fans and people so say in the business like to use these terms. What made me pop is when we had your boy Daredevil make the cameo. That blew my. I was like, yes, they're doing it. And then to tie that in as well, we had characters from the other series as well pop up as a teaser for the last episode of Hawkeye in episode 5 with Kingpin.
Oh, I love it because they aren't forcing it. It's not in the marketing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the thing that Marvel does correct that DC does wrong is Marvel likes to fool us with certain things. The infamous Hulk run-in montage from Avengers,
Yeah.
or even just like in this one when Wong said, "Hey, don't do that spell." In this one, he pretty much said, "You know what? Fuck it. Do what you need to do. Just know I'm not gonna help you all out if you fuck this up."
Yeah. And they're notorious for making trailers, and then there are scenes in the trailer that don't make it into the movie or just totally different, like you were saying, the Hulk scene and whatnot. So it's just I've been actively for the past couple years avoiding trailers. Just I'll show up to the movie because I mean I know my movie theater now. So if they say the movie is starting at 7:15, that's when the trailer starts at 7:15. So I know I have some leeway to show up just a little bit late so I can miss those trailers. That's because it's not like I just want to, because I don't have a connection to the source material. So all I have is the films, and seeing trailers is like almost a spoiler to me. So I don't want to. I just want to go in there with a fresh mind, fresh head. I don't want to know nothing. I want to be genuinely surprised the whole time that I'm watching this shit.
Yeah, as someone who reads from the source material to watch it to film, the biggest thing that I'm starting to notice is they'll take different aspects of Spider-Man and put it in this one. So, like, for anyone who's read the Ultimate Comics run of Miles Morales, Ned is based off Genki, who was Miles' friend. And
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the original run, it's the same description. Like, there's little things that they, plug and play here and say, you know what, like in this one now, this is the gut punch for everyone who loves them some Marissa Tomei.
Oh man,
With her dying, they
I knew
borrowed
it had
that.
to happen though.
Oh yeah, it was definitely gonna happen.
Didn't
They
want it
borrowed that.
to.
Listen, listen. Every now and then, when the milk goes bad, you gotta throw it out, and
Mm.
that's some good quality milk there.
Mm-hmm.
You see the gif of her, in the dress?
Oh, I just seen it. when, yeah. Boy. Boy. She
Listen,
knows what she
man.
doing. She know what she
Oh,
doing.
listen. You know what, too? Just to kind of, take this into another thing. Did you
Yeah.
notice that when, Spider-Man or when Peter swung back into his apartment and Happy was just like fixing himself and she was all a mess? Did they have breakup sex?
Maybe. I don't think it was in the realm of. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Because I mean, just the way she was treating him or whatever, like he was a booty call anyway. That's the vibes I was getting and whatnot. Because she was like, oh, so unbothered by it or whatever, and he was all broke up and like, oh, just like because he knew that was a good piece of ass, boy. I tell you what. But
Listen, Uncle Ben he died a happy man. That's all I'm gonna say.
oh boy, I tell you.
And but yeah, like I said, with what they take as far as parts from Miles, like in the Miles run, and this is a spoiler. I don't know if they're gonna incorporate it in the film, but Miles' mom was killed too because she was killed by Venom in the Ultimate Run. So
Mm.
they flipped that, and then I knew it was gonna happen as soon as she said the whole "great power comes great responsibility"
Yeah.
speech. Like,
And then
but
for all three of the Spider-Man series that they've had so far, the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield, somebody had to die.
yeah, and honestly, the way you skip trailers, but like the way it was shown, we thought it was gonna be MJ again or even Ned. But the way they did it was like they stuck the landing and they said, you know what, y'all think that Otto's the worst villain? Nah, we're gonna give you that Green Goblin. We're gonna give you that Joker aspect.
Yeah. And dude, I knew it was gonna happen when, he was talking and shit, and then you see that daggone the hoverboard come up, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be like in the film where he got impaled by the glider and shit. And I was like, she gonna get but it just nicked her up and shit. So
Oh, dude, and listen, like when I watch these film, I get immersive. I get very like into it, and there was not a dry eye in that first viewing.
mhm. Yeah.
Second
And
view,
that's
yeah.
kind of like whenever kind of the pandemic was still like kind of at its height and whatnot, so some movies were kind of opening, so I was so used to going in there and not having a motherfucker in there with me and shit, but I went in there and see this and they got people all over the goddamn place, and it's just like I wanted to be there because like I reacted, but I wasn't like, flipping out like how motherfuckers be in the theater and shit. Because that's one of the aspects I did not miss. So whenever there was a reveal or something big happened, the crowd will be like, oh, yeah. And then they don't know how to bring it down real quick because there's still dialogue in the movie. It's not like theater and shit to where, they'll pause for your reactions. Then they'll continue on with whatever the fuck they're doing. I was like, we missing vital information here. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what happened in the first. So unfortunately for the first viewing, for me, it was like it was good, but there was that one person in the back, and I addressed them after the movie was over. But this one person in the back, he would not shut up. Like he would be like, "Oh my God, it's Daredevil! No, no, no! Did you see that?" And then he'll just keep going and going. Or like when there was a certain fight scenes, he'd be like, "You beat his ass!" And listen, man, like I pulled him aside when we walked out because as theaters,
Mhm.
you go out, and I told him I was like, listen, for the rest of my life, when I think of this movie and rewatch it, your annoying voice is going to be the commentary to that moment. You go live with that, all right? You live with that.
So I applaud you for doing something like that because I mean he needed to know because if he was there with anybody, they sure weren't freaking thinking about something like that. Especially
Oh,
like
dude.
if you taking kids, and I have failed, I have fucking failed because I brought my kid, my 11-year-old and everything. So I've had a good thing about introducing her to movies that I enjoyed or good films for the past. So just an example, the whole month of October, all 31 days we watch scary movies the whole time. And what me and my wife did was introduce her to, horror films from our past and some great ones that we thought she would like. I mean, nothing, super grotesque or anything, just, like The Thing and, the New Thing remake and, stuff along those lines. and killer clowns from outer space. Stupid shit like that.
Wow. Wow,
So,
you are brave for that one. That movie still traumatizes me till this day.
well, see, that's the difference. Like our generation versus my daughter's generation. So for us, movies and everything was damn near true to life for us because we didn't know no better. We didn't have internet. We didn't have anybody doing freaking behind the scenes footage, and we didn't have that. But her, she knows what CGI is. She knows what a special effects creature shop is. She knows, there's people that makes makeup and these prosthetics for these films. She goes into these films with that knowledge. So it's just like to show her something like that, she's like, oh, that's good special effects. Oh, that's good CGI. Because I remember we watched the old ass movie that, from when I was a kid, and I wanted her to see it too. And we was watching, she's like, oh, the CGI is terrible. I was like, shut up and watch the movie. Don't be looking at the effects. Take in the story, damn it.
That's funny. Does she have like a personal favorite, like one that sticks out that you were proud of or surprised about?
Oh, The Thing. With the horror movies, it's The Thing. She liked the original, and she liked the remake, which the remake, for those who didn't know, is the prequel to the original.
And does she know Among Us? Did she like put that lens over the
Yes,
film?
yes. I was like, no, this is kind of like that game you play, Among Us. She's like, wait a minute, and then she watched the film a little more. She's like, you're right. She's like, this is sus.
I didn't even know that movie existed until I listened about it. So with another show that we listen to, and you've been a guest on, and I'm yet to be a guest on. So you
Ooh,
have the honor of
barbs.
having me first.
Barbs.
Is with Cult 45, I tend to listen to the show. I'm like, what they're gonna do next week? All right, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna see it, or I'll listen to the show then watch the film with their commentary in mind. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it definitely desensitized a lot of the horror movie aspect of the film because Randy or Brandon would say something that was like, oh yeah, they're right. You know what? We good. This is great. This is some gourmet shit.
2 knee pads.
To, exactly. You know what? This film gets 2 knee pads before we even get through it.
Oh boy, shit. So we can get it a little more into the reveals. The freaking Daredevil was in it. I thought that whole scene was great. Just that the actor is awesome. And then when later on, the first reveal of Andrew Garfield's character, his Spider-Man, his Peter Parker, I was sitting there in the theater. I would like to hear your reaction as well. But for me, I was sitting there, Ned opened the portal and shit. And I was like, fucking no, they didn't. Because I kind of felt like that they were gonna do this, with the multiverse aspect, and maybe I thought maybe these characters would be in, but I never fully committed to the idea that, like, hey, they might have these other Spider-Mans in this film. But as soon as I seen the portal open, I seen the dude, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. And then he got closer, and then my daughter was like, that's not the same suit. And I was like, oh, she gets it too. And then he jumped through the portal and took the mask off. I was like, fuck, they is really doing this shit. you know? But this is where I was saying before I went into my whole rant, where I failed. She has not seen the other 2 series of Spider-Man films. So the crowd is in the theater losing their shit, as am I, reservedly and silently, of course. I'm like, oh shit, they're doing this, and I'm not hooting and hollering like everybody else. But, she heard them all reacting to him. And then when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man revealed himself as well, she's like, why are they yelling about this old guy? I was like, oh, I put my head in my hands and I was like, fuck, you hadn't seen these movies. Shit. So my wife explained to us, like, yeah, he was the first Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So Sunday, tomorrow, the day that this episode airs, day after tomorrow as we record, we're having a Spider-Man Sunday. We're going to watch all the Spider-Mans.
You listen, man. you know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility, and you were irresponsible. You Wow. Listen, if there was a Spider-Man fan club card, like I'd
Yeah.
suspend it for a bit, and I'll
Mhm.
give it back about a week after you redeem yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I got to make up for it. So Sunday, we just gonna wake up early a.m., make breakfast, and Spider Man it up all fucking day. Like
Listen, you know what you got to have for lunch, right? Pizza.
you, you right, you right.
Listen, pizza time. They did
Hell
not
yeah.
give us pizza time. I
No,
wish they did.
man. So what was your reaction when they started to reveal the previous Spider Man?
Oh man, like so in the first showing, the reaction besides that guy being loud in the back, like and just obnoxious, but the second viewing, the whole theater like erupted. It was like when they say it was a lot like Avengers Endgame on your left,
Yeah.
it was exactly that. And it was amazing. And Andrew Garfield looked like listen, he gets honorary Grizzly because that guy that guy knows what he's doing when he's acting as Spider-Man. I'm kind of
hmm
mad that it didn't work out for him because he genuinely looked like he had fun doing the role. So
And that was another reason because of that aspect right there that I didn't think this was gonna go down this way. I was like, I mean, because to me it wouldn't have made sense to have just Tobey Maguire if you couldn't get Andrew Garfield.
yeah, he and the react and then listen, like when Toby showed up, I was shaking. Like I was both times because it's like I know what's gonna happen, but still like this movie. I was talking to Spaces last night, but I said this movie was a dream come true. Like I woke up this morning, I'm
Yeah,
like, did I really watch that twice? Like
man, for real, man. As we're talking about it right now, I mean, I'm seriously debating on me and the kid go see that shit again.
and the marketing, they were right. You know what's crazy? So you're a wrestling fan. You watch AEW?
Yes, of course.
So this was
They
what
sent Hook, by
Tony.
the way.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Listen. That's another Spider-Man variant running around. But
hmm
the thing about like I was saying, Marvel was like the AEW and Tony Khan of this because remember
hmm
when CM Punk was coming out, like we were 98% sure, yeah, he's gonna show up, he's gonna pull up, he's gonna show up.
hmm
But that 2% was like, I don't know. And then when it finally happened, like I'm looking around the internet, I'm waiting for the reactions, but I was ecstatic when it happened.
Yeah, that was another thing. I was in that 2%. Like, nah, it can't be him. It's not gonna be him. I was like, I went with that majority of the group that was thinking that, they was gonna troll us and be like, MJF gonna come out to CM Punk music. you know, I was in that sect of fans, but I don't know. This movie did as much as AEW did. To your point, is just they didn't tell us they was going to do it, but we kind of figured that they were going to do it. And then when we saw it, we was just like, oh, this is fucking great.
But imagine the shitstorm if they didn't show up.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, same thing with the CM Punk shit. What if he didn't show up? You know, or even if he just came later? It would have been fucked up.
Oh, oh, they get and the thing too with this was they gave us a lot of time to like, really like revel in it and see how the chemistry works because in most Marvel
Yes.
movies, when the character comes in, it's usually last 5 minutes, I'm gonna save the day.
hmm
And through the trailers, I mean, I know you haven't seen the trailers, but there's a scene where Doctor Strange says, "Oh, they're all breaking through." People assumed that was going to be the part where somebody was going to save it. Now I could have done some fantasy booking and said have Andrew Garfield show up, spend time with them, and then when MJ is fallen, have Toby save her. But Andrew
They
definitely
did that
redeemed
fucking
himself.
right, man.
They
They
and for him to give him the veteran rub, he said, "Listen, you're an amazing Spider-Man. You're
Yeah.
amazing."
And I was just like, oh, they so many puns. They're doing this. I love it.
Oh, and the chiropractic scene when it, like,
hmm
if you told me, listen, in like 3 years ago, if you told me, hey, we're gonna have a pandemic, and there's gonna be a scene where Tobey Maguire is getting adjusted by Andrew Garfield in the Spider-Man suit, I'd be like, No,
But
that's not going to happen.
yeah, as I proceeded at
It's
in that exact moment, touching all the doorknobs and everything. Yeah, whatever.
but Andrew redeemed himself, and it was just kind of like they Disney definitely said, "Listen, we know you were mishandled. We know you were mistreated. Here's your redemption arc. You're gonna save MJ again." And for the true fans, like they knew why he was crying. Where for the casuals, they're like, "Oh my god, this guy's just a big baby. He's a loser." But that's what it is. When the
Yeah.
casual fans watching these Spider-Man films through the casual lens, they're gonna poo-poo on it and say, "Oh, he's not Tobey Maguire," you know?
Mhm. But that, I mean, when it happened, I already knew what was going to go down. It's just like everything that I would want out of this film, they gave it to me, and I appreciate that because as soon as I seen, the instance to where she was going to fall or whatever, and the proper Peter couldn't save her, and I was like, he's going to do it. He's got to do it. You know?
Listen, and you know what's the funny thing is with this film, they answered the great debate among Spider-Man fans since the days of the animated days about the organic webbing, web
Yeah.
blocking, existential crisis. Wait, you
Mhm.
don't got to refill it? Does it come out of anywhere else? Like,
that was funny as hell. He's like, I
because
mean,
we've
I don't
all
know. I
had
mean,
that.
because I got to make mine.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. In typical Spider-Man fashion, this wasn't planned, but
Oh, he got the pizza.
pizza time. No, one of my good friends and my pops works at a pizza shop, so he was like, "Oh, you want food? My bad."
Mm, yeah.
But where would you leave off at?
Oh no, I was saying it's just the chemistry between the three of the characters, just all three of the Spider-Man, the actors themselves. I was like, I wouldn't mind seeing a movie with just them three in it.
Oh yeah, and the thing that was amazing was, like I said, they had that whole dynamic of, "Hey, does it come out of anywhere else? What's the logic here? And I loved how Peter was so deadpan. Well, Tobey Maguire was so deadpan when he's like, "I had a friend. He died in my arms.
Yeah.
I had to kill him." And it was just like, wow.
Yeah, well,
But
from like coming from him or whatever, is just like he's the only one of the three that's full on got past his grief and his grieving periods and all that stuff and everything. So like he already lost his uncle, him and the girl broke up already, and just his friend died, and it was just a whole thing to do and everything. And it's just like he already passed the point to where he's dealt with all the stuff emotionally and everything, and he's in a different place.
and the fact that he was still working on a goblin cure after the fact Norman was dead was like, it's everything that, we all wanted. And it was funny too because Andrew and Toby were like, "Wait, you went to space?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you fought aliens from space in space?" "Yeah. And I'm part of the Avengers." "That's great. What is that?"
What are the Avengers? So,
So,
and that's another thing too, is to where like just even in these casual conversations between Spider-Man or whatever, like none of them were like, they was just like, oh, all right, that makes sense. It was never like putting off like, oh, you ain't never been to space, motherfucker. What you talking about? They was just like, oh, okay, I get it. Because I've seen some shit. I'm pretty sure he's seen some shit. So what you're saying is probably in the realm of possibility.
and what I liked most was, like I said, it was a testament of the character of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that he was so downtrodden on himself, he didn't believe in himself, and we were like, it was almost like Marvel and the fans saying, "Listen, you're great. Come on, this guy's good. Let's give him the rub." Like, I hope, and it kind of sucks because obviously they all went back to their respective places and timelines. But
Mm,
if they ever do the Miles run live action, like if Toby wants to suit up one more time, that'd be amazing.
mm. Yeah.
Just to be Peter B. Parker or whatever it was in the
Peter B.
film.
Parker. Yeah. And so I guess like, all right, so we already discussed like Toby's Spider-Man. already been he's been through everything already, and he's already just like a full fleshed out Spider-Man. He's just like a full on, he's dealt with his grief, he's dealt with his past, and he's already moving forward and trying to be better. Andrew Garfield's character is still dealing with the self-doubt after a loss and everything like that. And then Tom Holland's Spider-Man is just at the precipice of all the things that the other two have already been through.
Yeah, he definitely he's been through some shit. Like he saw his mentor die. He was erased for 5 years. He came back. Like, what is there else to do as far as from the Marvel perspective? Like, I hope we get these new set of films where, you know, Peter gets to be his own Spider-Man, and
Mhm.
there's no help from Doctor Strange. There's no help from Tony. There's no help from the Spider-Man. And granted, that was the biggest argument here too was, oh, he's going to get help from the Spider-Man. When in reality, he led these two guys to a win. He said, listen, we're going to go about it our way. We're just going to go based on our senses. And that swinging sequence when all three of them were swinging,
Mhm.
just webs everywhere. We're just
Yeah.
shooting webs in the theater.
Some people are probably shooting webs in their pants. Just, goo. But man.
That's what it was.
Mhm. And then skip to the end with the first end credit scene. There was a what's his name? I forget his name. Fucking Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy. His iteration of Eddie Brock with the Venom
Oh,
sip.
yeah.
So they had that scene, which tied in from the end of the Let There Be Carnage film.
Oh yeah, Let There Be Garbage. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
let there be garbage. Yeah, you had that witty quip before we started recording proper. So
It
let's
was
even
good.
talk. Let's
Marvel
even
said,
attack that film. So, what are your thoughts with the Venom film, this last one? Because they didn't really allude to too much in the first one, but this last Venom film and the up and coming Morbius film, it looks like they're trying to mend all these things together.
I think. Have you seen the Morbius trailer, or did you stay away
Yes,
from that too?
I've seen that one. I've seen it.
Okay, so now we know for a fact that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man suit poster on the wall is probably not going to be that. It's probably going to be Peter's or our Earth's Peter's
Mhm,
poster on the wall because as they know, that spell everyone forgot who Peter Parker was, but they didn't forget Spider-Man.
mhm.
And I think what they're gonna do with this one, I really don't know how they're gonna tie it in. I think it's just gonna be like really dark and gritty, and I don't know. I don't think it's when you're doing Spider-Man property without Spider-Man. The only examples you could do it in is like with Craven. Like if they did a Craven film and they just marketed it as, "Hey, this is new film. It's made by Marvel. It's Craven." For the diehards, we know what it is. For the uninitiated, it's some wild film, and I
Yeah.
think that's why they left the Venom symbiote at the end of it. So we're probably gonna get Craven's last hunt in some aspect, and then Spider-Man show up at the end of that, as far as Sony's concerned. But
Mhm.
I think the tie-in of all of it, they just need to stick the landing because they didn't do well with Venom. Like, what was good with that headpiece that Carnage had? Like that wig was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, then they got rid of it for the film proper, though, right?
Yeah, I just felt like it was one of those things where like that film's forgettable, both Venom series, and there's some people who they love it and they're
the
the
first
Spider-Man
one,
purists.
the first one was good, but I didn't take it like as a Spider-Man property. I just took it as this one film on its own or whatever. It was a good film. I liked it. I am a visual effects person, and they did a very good job with the symbiotes and all the visual effects. So I thoroughly enjoyed it from that aspect of it. But I mean, was it one of the best? No, not really. I mean, I could argue there was some of the X-Men movies that was better than that one.
We don't talk about those.
Hey, I mean
uh,
they're put as legacy Marvel on Disney Plus.
yeah, of course they gotta they gotta dress it up the way it is, but as far as these next series of films, if they do it the right way and they don't, I don't want to say they do the DC thing where dark and gritty sells,
Mhm,
but let it be known, if you're doing Sony, they're gonna say, hey, this is the Sony dark verse, or this is the Sony like it's a little more gritty. Let's play with this. And if they do that, then they could, like you said, put them all together and just line them up where films like Deadpool are that happy between, or the Fox
mhm,
franchises are somewhere in between, and then we go up towards Disney.
mhm. And then the thing with it as well, I mean, Disney owns Hulu. So, I mean, if you want to do rated R content, just drop that shit in Hulu. You don't have to put it anywhere near Disney Plus.
Yeah, and that's the thing I never understood with Disney. Like, I understand you're trying to market to children and get the, hey, we're family friendly. We have this niche market, but like you said, if they drop everything on Hulu and do like Punisher on Hulu,
Mhm.
Daredevil on Hulu, like most parents and adults are watching these films. Like, no 7-year-old is actively seeking out a Marvel film by themselves.
Yeah. I think there's some separation that needs to be made because, there are those that be like, oh, this is Disney. This is great. So here, child, just take this tablet or cell phone and sit in the corner and watch Disney Plus. And then meanwhile, they're watching the Punisher, rape somebody with the barrel of a gun. So, just murdering
That
somebody.
noise, listen, that noise haunts my dreams. That is, listen, John Bernthal has to be the Punisher. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts.
He is, to me, he is the definitive Punisher now. It's just so many people that can encompass a character, and he does that. So it's just like, for me personally, Blade is always going to be Wesley Snipes to me, no matter who they put in the role. So it's just one of those things. But neither here or
Listen,
there. So I
Mark,
kind of feel with the Venom films, well, at least this last Venom film and Morbius is all a lead up to them inevitably mixing with a Spider-Man film proper one day. Because I mean, even if Tom Hardy isn't involved in the project anymore or doesn't care to be, they left it open with the drop of symbiote there that it can grab onto somebody else and we can make something from there. Or it can interact with Peter and we can get the black suit Spider-Man and we can just have that whole arc with that character there. Because I mean, it's going to be 3 other films. So why not?
I think what they're gonna do, as far as from booking standpoint, I think with the symbiote or
Whatever
symbiote,
the fuck they
as they
call it.
say, I think that's probably gonna attach to Craven and introduce us to the Craven's Last Hunt run of comics, because that was one where Craven kills Spider-Man. And I'm not saying that they're gonna kill Tom Hardy, or I mean Tom Holland, but if
Too
they
many
do it, I
times.
mean that's the way to do it. Yeah, too many times and too many Chris's. Um, that I think that's how they're gonna do it. But if I could change one thing about that post-credit scene, instead of having some random like Tijuana bartender there, they definitely should have had Lewis from Ant-Man just run it through and be like, "Yeah, so there was this purple guy and this and that, and I
Yeah.
disappeared and I came back and I woke up."
Speaking of the snap and the blip or whatever the things that they called it, we got to see a different variation of it in the Hawkeye series when Natasha's sister, went out and came back. It was just like a matter of seconds for her.
You know what? That was something I always wondered, because I remember when Peter was just like, "Oh yeah, it was dark and then it was light again." Like, it was one of those scenarios where, and it was crazy to see the room change, like,
Yeah.
you know, the color, the paints, and everything just crack and everything. Like, it answered the question where it was like, hey, this is where it landed, this is where I am, this is how it is. But it still makes me wonder what happened to the people that were on planes and cars. Like, does it happen the same way, or do they just,
Yeah, they're like
drop
in
from
the
the
air,
sky?
flying in the plane and just you know.
So that's going to be interesting. But just to see that perspective, and it was just like, it was seconds for her. Like I said, it was like a snap. So she was just like, just her dealing with that trauma. And if they want to do a dark and gritty, perspective of the snap, I think this should be a mini series on Hulu or even on Disney Plus, where it's like, oh, the last people from the snap, like what did they go through coming back and disappearing? You know, like little mini stories.
They touched on it on the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film, to where like pretty much the B character, well, the C characters, pretty much, you know, how we're talking about these situations, to where, you know, I do it with my kid now. Is just I talk with her, and we were watching a film, and then, you know, a building blow up and a chunk of building fall on the car, and, you know, fuck some shit up, right? And I would sit there and I
Hmm.
would talk with her. I'd be like, just imagine that. You wake up one morning, you go to work, you park your car on the street, you go in and you do your job, and then you come out, you got a big chunk of building just laying on the top of your freaking car. You know, how would you feel in this instance? That's the conversations I have with her and my wife. And, and I'm just like, what they touched on in the first Spider-Man, you know, that's the Michael Keaton character. He was a part of the cleanup crew. You know, after the buildings in the city get destroyed, he was a part of the federally contracted construction crews to go through and clean up all this stuff. So it's just like I think about those background characters sometimes in these films, just like, you know, I don't know, it's just sitting there, la da 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 da. You having lunch and poof, and then poof, you come back and you're in the McDonald's and you was eating in the Burger King a little while ago. I don't know what.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, it's crazy to see how that played out. And you know what? Green Goblin in this film, just to kind of switch gears,
William Defoe
Green
is that shit.
Goblin. So
That
William
dude.
Dafoe, yeah, he did his own stunts, and you know, contrary to your, or not contrary, but just to adhere to what you've said about, you know, all wrestlers having the pay dirt as a move. Green Goblin did a pay dirt.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, it's notoriously used by a lot of black wrestlers or whatever. But I mean, hey, man, Green Goblin, he get a pass. He got some
He
melanin.
had
He
a clean.
green.
He did a spine buster. Like it was
Dude, that
it was
that was the best fight scene out of the whole thing. Just them freaking spine busting each other through the floors of the building, and oh man, that shit was great. They did a fantastic job on there, and especially the last time they fought, how he was just getting mad and he was just punching the shit out of him, and he picked up the glider and everything. I was like, oh, this is great. Shooting
oh
webs all
it,
over the place. Just
and what got me to was, you know, Tom Holland was actually training to be a boxer. I don't know if it was for this film, but Green Goblin got those hands, man,
oh yeah, he
because
did.
he whipped his ass. And then Peter just to, and the biggest like fuck you to the whole audience was just like, oh yeah, you love Tobey Maguire? We're gonna stab him with the glider.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did the whole Tony Stark thing where it was just like, oh, I've been stabbed before. Like he was just okay with it. He was just so morbidly friendly.
Yeah. He's like, I mean, he's like, man, I've been through it all, man. It's just like, I'm, I'm, I, I know how I'm gonna deal with this later. I'm gonna put some Epsom salt on the thing, and we'll be good.
And listen, man, Jamie Foxx brought like the guy can act, like he made Electro somewhat relatable in this film. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was funny, he was active, he was power hungry. Like not to compare characters and apples and oranges, but it felt like he had that like he definitely side with Killmonger. Like the way he was talking, he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, we gotta take this back. We gotta do this, man. Like I look good." And they, you know, like I said, they retconned the whole look. They said, "Hey, we're gonna address it. We're gonna have callback after callback," and
yeah.
you know, especially with, it's crazy, you know.
And it's like, I am somewhat of a scientist.
Oh, dude. Listen, that one popped me, and then when I think it was Ned or somebody said they're like, "Oh, what, you got a bunch of like Hollywood monsters locked up in here?" And Doc Ock just said, "I'm no monster," because he said, "I will not die a monster" when he was trying to save
Mhm.
Peter.
Yeah.
So
And
it
then
was
he's
good.
like,
And
I
then
mean,
Peter's back.
mhm. He's like, last time I
They're
seen
like,
you, you had a comb over, some Jackie teeth. He said your electric powers gave you a whole new look.
"Oh, dude, listen, whoever we got to get to the MCU barber because man, he came out looking clean."
Yeah, and then it's just like, just speaking of the cohesiveness of the MCU as what we're getting in the cinematic universe. It's just like they addressed in this film all the shit that we had issues with. So it's just like, why he look different? And then they little witty quip why. I mean, what about this? Little witty quip why? And it's just like, okay, we're good. Keep rolling.
Well, and what I like too was when Peter had that, like, he was like stretching and he's like, "Yeah, I hurt my back," because we all know in Spider-Man 2 when he hit the wall and he just falls back, he's like, "My back." Like that was for all of us. Now, like I said, if there was two things I wanted in this film, and I'm happy, but I wanted pizza time, and then when Peter goes and moves into the new apartment, he closes the door and he says, "Hey, can you fix the door?" And then he opens it up, and the rent guy's like,
The
"Rent?"
rent guy. Rent?
The
Yeah.
rent
That's what
guy.
I was kind of hoping it was the guy that was putting them in their apartment.
But it was,
Another
I was,
what it is, I talked to the kid. I texted her on the phone. I was like, "You want to go see Spider-Man again?" She's like, "Yeah." But I was like, "Nah, we'll wait till Sunday after we do the marathon. We'll get up early. We'll watch all of them, then we'll go see the new one again."
no, that's the way to do it. I mean, this film was everything that we wanted. And Otto with the face turn, like, I thought he
Mhm.
killed him when he put the chip in. I was like, "Oh, great, this is what's gonna drive them to say, hey, you killed him, you can't help us."
Mhm. Yeah. I thought he defried the chip again. I was like, "Oh no." And then I thought, yeah, you're right. I thought he did kill one of them because he had the spike in the claw. So I thought he jugged him or whatever. But he did face turn.
Yeah, oh, dude, it was good. This was something, and you know what? The only now that it's digesting and kind of like processing for me with Sandman and Lizard, like, yeah, they were necessary and they were there just because to tell the story,
Hmm.
but they were all very like not forgettable, but it was very just like, oh, okay, yeah, here are the side characters. Like, we're gonna run the gauntlet through them, but if they weren't there, I would have been happy either way. If it was just Green Goblin
Yeah.
and anyone else, and Electro and
But I kind of feel like that's what they do with these Marvel films and everything. They take the less desirable and they make them, a key piece to the whole thing. I mean, we've seen it with the Thor Dark World. Nobody liked that shit, but they made it important in Endgame and Infinity War.
yeah, yeah, they definitely know how to say, hey, you know what, we might have not got it right the first time, but let's go back to the lab and let's fix it all up
Mhm.
and make everything great. And the J. Jonah Jameson, segment, just he's the Alex Jones of that universe. Like, there's no way around it.
Mhm. And I wonder, if later on they're going to touch on what happened when everybody went back. Because I mean, I'm intrigued. I want to know what happened when everybody went back to their proper timeline.
Yeah, that is something that I'm interested. I that does raise a lot of questions. Like, did they all meet their fates still, or now that they were saved, it was like after the fact, or
Yeah.
and
Or it
then
could
with
have been.
everyone coming through at the end.
Mhm. I
Hmm.
believe it might be able. That might be something they can address in like a what if season 2 or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be something like with the multiverse. It's like Marvel definitely
They
said,
future
oh,
proof themselves.
yeah, they said, oh man, so and so doesn't want to get the jab or the vaccine, just to be proper. They don't want to get
Yep.
the vaccine. They don't want to do this. Well, you know
All right.
what? We'll Aunt Vivian the situation. We'll
Yep.
swap you out, or we're gonna family matters you. You know what? Go right upstairs. You're not gonna come back down.
Yeah. I mean, because they definitely did that. They introduced time travel. They introduced interdimensional travel. The multiverse timelines, the TVA. They future proofed themselves, and that was another series that they did well, so well that they're going to have a season 2. Was Loki.
Yeah. Kang is definitely gonna get his flowers,
That's got to
like
be
you said,
Kang.
it. Like they said, that's cute. You like your Mephistos and whatnot. All right, we got Kang. Like, it's like you said, they future proofed themselves and they went ahead of the curveball on DC because DC originally had the whole Flashpoint series set before
Oh
this whole
my
multiverse
god.
thing. they had it, and then they said Marvel
Now,
must have did research and said, you know what, we're gonna do it better.
and then they can use the Flashpoint to kind of fix themselves. I really, really do believe. I mean, they have all the seeds laid from other films and everything, and it's just they can do it. But will they? Probably not.
No, here's the thing. Like with Marvel, they run up, they hit the beam, they stick the landing, it's clean. Where DC, they're running, they got the nice suit going on, everyone's hyped, right into the beam.
Oh well. I mean, what did you think about the last Suicide Squad movie? I kind of enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospective, will I revisit it? By choice, no. But if it's playing on HBO Max on a random loop, or if it's playing on FX or on TV, I might watch it. But it was a film of the moment, and that's the thing with DC too. They have films of the moments. Like they can't seem to get their film property correct. Like I think the only DC property I properly respected, and it's just because it was Dark Horse, was Watchmen the series and Watchmen the show. Like those are things I could revisit because it's different, it's gritty. Where every film is just like, oh yeah, this is it, and it's gonna be, you gotta fix your picture to see what's going on in the back.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta get their colors correct.
Did you see the Snyder Cut?
Yeah, it was good, but I was just like, okay, this is long. Like this is too long in the tooth.
I mean, so, I watched it twice, so that was like 8 hours of my life just gone.
Yeah, you're better than me, man.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So what I did was I watched the original copy, then I turned around and I watched the Snyder Cut, and then I went back and I watched it again later. So it's just like, that was when I was working crazy night hours too. So it's just like I had nothing but the time in the world to waste. But I enjoy it. I like it. I think the first Suicide Squad was okay, the extended cut of it, but
Yeah, no, the second one was good, but it was, like I said, it was one of those things where it was joke after. Like it was good, it was fun. But it was like the same thing with the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey film. Like it was fun in the moment, but in retrospect, I'm like, that was really the last movie I seen in theater before the pandemic hit. Like, I couldn't pick anything better.
Damn, I don't even remember the last one I saw. I know the first one. The first one that I saw coming back was Spiral. So that was the first one I saw.
Oh, I don't remember what was the first one. I think it was. It was Black Widow. Black Widow was the first one. That one was fun. That was interesting to see. And then Shang-Chi and then Eternals. So Marvel's back in their bag, man. I just want to see how they're gonna, do things now. Where moving on with Sony, like MJ saying "I hate magic" was essentially her saying, "Hey, I hate Sony," because we don't know if we're gonna see her again.
Mm-hmm. Don't know, and it's just interesting to see what it's. I just want to see how they're gonna spin it, man. I mean, obviously we got to get past this Morbius film to see, if there's going to be any tie-in, or it's just going to be one of their mini one-off type joints, or if it's going to have some connective tissue, which we don't know.
And what's funny is with this Spider-Man film, I did not feel those 2.5 hours. They went by like that.
I didn't want it to end.
No, you're right. Me neither. Like when things were just getting rolling, I was like, wow, it's already over. And with Spider-Man, like I liked how they didn't immediately reveal the Sam Raimi suit. Like how that's the one that everyone loves, at least in my opinion. That's the best Spider-Man suit.
Hey man, you got your suit? There you go.
Yeah. I always have my suit, and it was good. I just want to know what's the deal with like Ned. Does he have wizard's blood in him, or is he a descendant of a magician? Like,
well,
is he Mephisto?
He's chubby. I mean, as we've seen, there's a lot of chubby wizards, so he might have the wizard chub. I don't know, man, but it's just like Doctor Strange wasn't a wizard. He learned the stuff. So I mean, it might just be Ned is a button masher. He just got the controller and just start pressing buttons and shit happened.
Are you saying that diabetes is wizard powered in the MCU? Because I'm ready to go into that multiverse.
I don't know. Maybe Sugarfoot might have the Sugarfoot tingle might be the your thing.
That's the X gene. And that's another thing too. X-Men, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, exactly. How it's coming because I believe didn't they announce a Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I think what they're gonna do is because in the original comics run, when Peter was running with like his amazing adventures and whatnot, he was not a part, but he worked in tandem with the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna see on that end, like if they do it right, I think they're gonna call this series of films, if they do it like as far as like a wink and nod, the Fantastic Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, "Oh, why are they calling it the Fantastic Spider-Man?" And then introduce Fantastic Four, whether it be through a TV show, which I think
Mm-hmm.
they should do because they haven't got it right on screen.
No,
I mean, on the big
I believe
screen,
it's too much
and
to
then kind of
unpack
work.
as well.
Yeah, and same thing with the X-Men. Like I think with X-Men, it should be introduced through some central character, and then work your way up. Like everyone was like, "Oh, we could do a House of M or whatever comic book run," because Wanda's going to be the integral piece for this next phase of films. And I guess the rumor going around, unless they scrap it, is the next series of X-Men films. The first one's going to be called Primal Earth X-Men, where it's like in the jungle and all that, or and then they eventually go into Battle World for Secret Wars, which is the big
Yeah,
thing.
'cause
And
they
then
announced that. Yeah, Secret Wars.
so it's one of those things where we find out who's a Skrull, what's going in this, and then eventually we get into what's the next phase because Miles is introduced into our 616 universe after Secret Wars. So there's a lot of time and world building to do, and
Mm-hmm.
in the realm of possibilities, everything is canon in the MCU, and they say, hey, listen, you want to mess up a bag with your personal life? We'll replace you like that. We'll get a variant. No one's truly dead in the MCU.
Yeah,
I want to know
exactly.
whose watch that is in the Hawkeye. Like, are we going to see Cap next week? Are we going to see? Is the watch Mephisto? I don't know.
I mean, everybody. That's a name that's been thrown out for many years amongst the Marvel fans or whatever. Mephisto. Who the fuck is that? Tell me.
Okay, so Mephisto is an evil demon being from. I don't know too much, but I know enough because I've read Doctor Strange. He's pretty much like one of Doctor Strange's greatest foes, and he ended up impregnating and creating Wanda's children. That's why, like
Ah,
in WandaVision, there's a little throwaway scene where he's just like, "Go on, my demon spawn," because her children are literally demon spawn. And where in House of M, her whole run was to eliminate the X-Men and get rid of everyone, or bring in the X-Men and bringing it everywhere. So it's one of those things where Mephisto's a big thing now in Japan and over to the Far East. They don't do like demons in films and on screen. So I think they might use a different iteration of the character named Nightmare. I'm a nerd, I know it, but ask me anything about math and all that, I'm not going to give you an answer. Ask me anything about
no.
Marvel, I'll give you the syllabus.
So, what do you think? What I mean, what? Damn, what is next? Because Hawkeye ends next week, and Spider Man is already out. So, what's next on the list? I don't recall.
I know Doctor Strange might be next, and then after that, I think it's Thor: Love and Thunder, and then Black Panther, and then Ant-Man like in 2023. But as far as releases go, I know they got She-Hulk on the coming,
Oh
and
yeah,
then the
yeah.
Marvels. But
Yeah, Miss Marvel and
I
all,
think they
yeah,
pulled
yeah.
the Marvels. Yeah, so they pulled the Marvels film. I don't know why. So I think they're gonna workshop that into the Captain Marvel TV series or Miss Marvel, and then She-Hulk, and then season 2 of Loki and then House of Harkness. So
Which, if I saw correctly, I'm not 100% sure, but didn't they have Miss Marvel in the Doctor Strange trailer?
no, that was America. She was the character I said at the top of the show. She's pretty much the of Captain America without being Captain America.
Okay.
Like she's has superpowers. She
Captain
can
Puerto
fly,
Rico.
and it's gonna be amazing. Captain Puerto. Listen, as a kid, I saw Captain America. I was like, "You're not Captain America, you're Captain Puerto Rico."
Yeah, I mean that suit looks like
But
the Puerto Rican flag.
yeah, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. And then they're doing the fourth Captain America film somewhere in between, and
Yeah,
Secret Wars. So and then Ironheart. So I think we're good. And if things go crazy and go sideways with this whole Omicron variant and Delta variant doing the fusion dance, we're gonna be
yeah,
stuck at home watching it all, and it's gonna be great. We're gonna be up
yeah.
at 3 a.m.
I kind of like that idea. I mean, not the virus, but the watching everything at home.
I'm gonna be working the whole time, so either way, we're gonna be straight. But
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. And this Spider-Man film, it was, like I said, it was a dream come true. And if you say you hate it, you're just being a contrarian.
hmm
And it's a wonderful film. Like anyone could see it.
yeah.
There's a
Like you
lot of
sit there, you
jokes.
say you hate AEW, but you show up in the second row with a sign on, and a
Listen,
shirt.
listen, listen. Word to Phil Lindsay, like one of my good friends on Twitter, because that guy. Listen, that guy got cooked.
Hmm
Um, it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna do it, and they're gonna. Everything's up in the air with Marvel because now I don't think they don't suffer from the same thing like Pixar. Because remember, at the point Pixar was getting it right, and then they
Yeah.
just started landing on their faces as of recent. I
hmm
think with Marvel, there's so much time, money, and fan service invested in it. They can't get it wrong. And if they do, hey, multiverse, let's
Yeah.
run it back. Oh, you didn't like Agents of Shield? Let's run it back.
Yeah. That's something I never
Give
watched
us,
either.
yeah, they got to give us the Jimmy Woo, X
Oh yeah.
Files TV series.
Yeah.
So and everything's in the realm of possibility with Marvel. And like I said, with Spider-Man, it's right now after 2 viewings, it's still a solid 8.5. It gets 2 knee pads and 2 elbow pads and 1 forehead on the floor.
It's praise. All praise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, man, I appreciate you chatting with me and everything, educating me as well as geeking out with me over this film. So before you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and anything that you may have going on.
All right, so I'm a producer on a podcast that's called Self Control. It's SELFCTRL. It's a show that I've been working on for a little bit. You can follow me on Twitter at Rito's Modern Life, all one word. Same thing with Instagram. You can find me on Tinder swiping away. If you got ladies listening.
All right.
And like I said, Brandon, give us what we want. You know what you have to pay. What
Give me
you
what I
owe.
want.
Give me what I want, brother. I am working myself in the shoot right now, brother. I want Heavyweights review. Give me that for Christmas or New Year's, begin the year, and listen to any podcast under the umbrella of the Houston, hard hitters. Shout out to Colt 45. And yeah, it's all love, man. You got to spread love and positivity. Everyone be safe, mask up, be safe, be happy. Don't fight anybody.
Mask up.
And, enjoy everything, man. Just don't take anything too serious, and just be happy, man. That's all I really gotta say, man. We gotta spread positivity.
Yeah, be like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Exactly. Be morbid but happy.
As it is for every guest of the Random Rounds with Rob, the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing or just to shoot the shit.
I appreciate that.